The Pajama Momma. The adventures of a mompreneur making money online in her PJs. This show is for moms and dads who want to create a successful online biz that will allow them to fire their boss and hire their kids. Elon has had numerous successes in various online businesses where she's been a 6 to 7 figure earner. She has appeared in the Louise Hay movie, National Enquirer, Huffington Post, Essence, Jet, Black Enterprise Magazine, The Talk TV show, and even got a phone call from Oprah. And now, here's your host, Elon Bomani.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Pajama Momma TV show, where we help average, normal, typical dads and moms fire the boss and hire the kids. And with that in mind, we interview successful people who are already where you want to be. Mom and dadpreneurs that are doing absolutely phenomenal online and offline with various businesses. And today we have no other than Hal Elrod. He's a good friend of mine, but I'm going to tell you some great things about him. He's a best-selling author of the book, The Morning Miracle. And I got a chance to be a part of that a long time ago when he first started this wonderful mission of educating people on information that they can acquire minuscule things just by getting up early in the morning. Now, what's that all about? But even more important than that, what we want to find out from Hal is this question. I'm going to begin it like I begin with all our wonderful dadpreneurs on the line. How did you become a dadpreneur? What has been the most exciting thing about that experience for you?
Yeah, Elon, thanks for having me, first of all. It's so good. I haven't seen you in, social media. We're in touch, but it's been a while. It's one of those, you're one of those people that, the authenticity, you jump right back into it. So glad to see you. But as far as being a dadpreneur, I became an entrepreneur when I was 15. I started my first business at age 15. I started DJing school dances and car shows and weddings and you name it. I bought some equipment. I started putting flyers around town. So that's where I started. So the entrepreneur thing came first, thankfully. That would have been, if I had been a dad already by 15, that would have been a little earlier than I was ready for. But so the entrepreneur thing came first, and then that continued. I'm 36 now, so it's 21 years of being an entrepreneur. So yeah, I've been an entrepreneur longer than I wasn't an entrepreneur. And then the dad thing happened, when I married my wife Ursula, and we had our first baby about 9 months later. And her name is Sophie, and so I have a 6.5-year-old daughter, and then I have a 3-year-old son, Halston. So
wow, awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, the best part about it is, the craziest or most exciting thing about it. I think it's being able to work from home and be on my own schedule, and I can take a week off whenever I want, and I can get off early whenever I want, or take a day off. We'll go to Disneyland in the middle of the week because it's much less crowded. So I love being able to be here for my family, and of course, as an entrepreneur, though, it's never perfect. There's always you're being pulled between. God, I've got these huge goals and ambitions, but I need to spend time with my family, and so it's always definitely something that I'm trying to improve on and do a better job of.
Now, what advice would you have for individuals like yourself who want to go into the field of being an author, who wants to be an international speaker? Like you said, sometimes you have to leave out of town, your family, things of that nature. How are they able to possibly live that dream? We talked about, we have Amazon Kindle, how they can kind of do the online thing also. How are you able to mesh, doing your business online and offline and still be able to spend time with your family?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of layers to how that, that I could answer that. But the idea is, and being able to spend time with the family with all of that, I just started, I used to work till, before I had kids, I would work till 9 p.m. I love work, so I would work, I'd wake up, I'd work till, 9, and then once my wife got pregnant, she said, "Sweetheart, this has got to change. Like, I know you're a workaholic, I know you love what you do, it's not work to you, I get it, we've had the conversations." She said, but, now that we're going to have a family, I need you to be, I want you to be with us in the evenings. And so I just cut, I went from getting off at 9 to getting off at, I think I went from 9 to 7 to 5 within a matter of weeks. But here's the mindset that happens. At the end of the day, especially as an entrepreneur, there's always more we can do. It's infinite, right? We're only limited by our ideas, and there's no limit to that. So it's, there's unlimited things we could be working on. There's always more to do. Our to-do list is always much longer than the day. And so what I had to realize is that I have to just decide where I'm going to value putting my time in. And that's going to be investing it with my family. And I had to be okay with, at the end of the day, I'll never get everything done. I'm never going to end the day and be like, well, I can check everything off my list. I read an article on Forbes probably years ago that said the average CEO has over 400 hours of potential work they could be doing at any given time. 400 hours at any given time. So what that tells you is that even the world's, some top achievers, they just have to decide, here are the parameters. I'm going to protect my time with my family, my time to relax and rejuvenate. So that was it. I just committed to be off at 5 every day and then off on the weekends, and that's time with my family. And and then when I travel, I try to bring them when I can. I just spoke in Tahoe a couple weeks ago. I brought my whole family with me. I'm speaking in the Philippines next week. I'm bringing my wife with me. A little far for a 3-year-old to go. So, and then I'll give one other example. I mean, I guess this takes a while to get to this point, but my book, just The Miracle Morning, published in 17, or it's with 17 foreign publishers I've signed deals with, and they're about to translate it and publish it in, you name it, Japan, Brazil, Ireland, England, all over the place, France. So the French publisher said, we want to bring you to France to do a media tour. And I came back and I said, I will only do it if you will fly my wife out there with me. And I just said, I can't go to Paris without. She's never been to Paris. She's always wanted to go to Paris.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna go without her. And I was willing to not go, to not be away from the family. And they came back and said, we'd love to give you and your wife a trip, to Paris. So obviously that doesn't happen. You can't just. That's a special circumstance or whatever. But yeah, it's just the bottom line is prioritizing time for your family, and then what you find is that whatever amount of time there is for work, you find a way to get done what you need to get done. More time is not necessarily better, because it just gives you more time to be inefficient and procrastinate. Just get really clear on the highest priorities, schedule those in, and then and then make sure you've got time for your family.
And this is going to be one important tip for individuals too that want to become dadpreneurs. And the one key thing is, how do you do money management? With owning your own business, fluctuating, and then you had this new family come on board. So did you make any changes in that arena when it came to, the new, I call them crumb snatchers, coming on board with your family?
Yeah, I don't know that it changed. So in 2007, when the U.S. economy crashed, 7, 8, 9, when the economy crashed, I went from being I had built this successful coaching practice, and I had just started speaking, and I'd written my first book back in 2006, bought my first brand new house, right?
Wow.
At the peak of the California real estate market.
Wow, I was there, I know.
Right? So, and then when the economy crashed, it was very quickly, I kind of lost everything. And when the economy crashed, I read a book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker.
Yes, very familiar with that.
And that book, it basically, the takeaway from it I got was I set up 5 bank accounts, 5 savings accounts, and I started managing a percentage of every dollar that came in for me into each of those 5 accounts. And the premise of the book is that if you're reading this right now and money is tight, which I'm like, that's me, right? You're probably thinking, I don't have any extra, I can't even afford to pay my bills, let alone manage someone to savings, right?
Right.
And the premise of the book, and I had to trust it and kind of got on faith and ended up being true, is they said, look, take $1, take $5 out of every check you get and put $1 in each of those 5 accounts. They said, because the habit of developing the habit of managing your money is far more important than the amount of money you manage.
Wow, that is a truly aha moment.
And because they said, and they made a good point. They go, look, that's what most people go, I'll save when
right,
I make more, I'll save. I'll save, right? And we always put it off to somebody in the future, and they go, no, you have to develop the habit. And they go, look, even if you're broke, $5 out of every paycheck, you're going to be $5 less, whatever. It's like, it's not going to make or break you. No one's going to miss $5, right? Mm-hmm. But you're going to have this habit ingrained over and over and over. Every time money comes in, I manage some, I save some. Every time money comes in, and here's what happened. 2 things. The book, first it gave some law of attraction stuff that I was kind of like, I'm not so sure. It's like when you show the universe that you can manage your money and treat your money well, right, it'll give you more. And I was like, okay, fingers crossed. I don't know if I'm not going to count on the universe giving me more money because I start putting $1 into these savings accounts, right?
Right.
I was like, okay, and the other part is it said, once you get more money, keep working hard. Eventually you'll have the mindset in place to manage it. And because they said, here's what happens. Most people have bad habits. They don't manage their money. They just spend what they have, if not more. Right. Then when more money does come in, they don't get ahead because they get a more expensive car and a nicer house and on and on. So they never have the habits in place. So I decided I was like, I got nothing to lose. I did it. I committed to it. Set up the bank accounts. Here's $1. It just feels like pointless, right? You know what I mean? Think about it. 3 months goes by. You've saved $12 in each of your accounts. You're feeling like,
right.
By the time I'm 700, I'll be retired, you know?
Yes.
And so, but what happened is I started turning everything around. More money coming in, and now I save and I donate, and like one of the accounts is for donating, one is for saving for long term, one is for play, which is, by the way, my favorite account. I call it the guilt-free play account.
There you go.
Right? Because so often, if money is tight, or even if it's not, you're like, oh, should I spend this? I don't need to go on this trip. I don't need this or that. So it's the guilt-free play account because we deserve to enjoy the fruits of our labor, right?
Exactly.
Whatever percentage you want that to be. So for me, so that money that goes in the account, I see it grow, but it's guilt-free. So I'm like, oh, there's $3,000 in that account. I'm like, oh, I don't go. There is no wrestling. Like, I could spend that on. It's like, that's for me to do stuff that I don't need to do. That I don't. It does. You know, like it's not responsible. It's just enjoying the fruits of my labor. And so. So those, I still to this day, when I get money, I manage it into those 5 accounts, and it's been a total game changer for me.
Wow. So we talked about spending time with your family. We talked about money management, which is some of the problem. How about organization? How has that played a role in being a dadpreneur for yourself?
Don't make me show you around my office. No, that's not my strength. So I'll tell you that it's bringing on someone that, you know, that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned, and it was hard, is delegation, you know. So sitting, that's the chair of my assistant, sits right here. Like, I like her. I have virtual assistants. Okay. But then I've got I call her my chief of staff, Tiffany. Like, I like to be like, Tiffany, hey, you know, I just be having that like direct access, and she can do things around me. So, but the idea of organization is I brought her on as an intern, by the way. Here's a great, if you're like, I can't afford, you know, I'm a new entrepreneur. I can't afford an assistant. Go get an intern. Yes. Totally free. And one of my mentors years ago recommended this to me. He said, it costs you nothing. And he goes, some of my best employees started out as interns. It's like you're testing out employees. That's true. And then he said, your first intern, have her document everything she does step by step and create what he calls an operations manual, right? So it's like how to file house mail or whatever, how to do whatever. And it's like step 1, step 2. So the point is, you want your first intern to create the manual so that every other intern that comes on, you go, here, read this, study this, do this, and then you kind of can learn on your own. Wow, so you're not re-teaching every time. So my intern, Tiffany was an intern for 4 months, right? So didn't cost me anything. She ended up being just a level, you know, a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. She's just amazing. Right. And so here's what's interesting. We often feel like one of the challenges that causes us to not delegate or not is because finances are tight. Okay, get an intern. I solved that for you, right? Well, then you go, but all the things that I do, I don't know how to teach them. They took me long to learn, and I do all sorts of hacks and little, it's all in my head. It's not on paper. So here's what I do. If I want something organized, which, we have a filing cabinet in there that we just bought, this big tall one, because I said, Tiffany, here's the outcome. We need an organization system for my mail, for this, for that, for all this stuff. And I say, if you look at my piles of paper, that's not my strength. I don't want to do it. I said, so you're going to manage all of it. You create the system, and you tell me what you're going to do. I'll let you know, you can bounce it off me. But so the beauty of it is, the point is, you don't tell your assistant what to do. You tell her what to learn how to do. And then you're empowering them, and then you're also it's not taking both of your time to do it. They're learning, and then they're creating what works for them. So I've done that with everything. Social media, I was like, hey, go read this book. And then I go sign up for this account. Or a lot of times I'll tell her, I want you to research, come back with the top 3 accounts for managing social media. That's what I did. And then she goes, and I go, I want you to come with a list of pros and cons, and let's decide what's the best one. So she's doing that right now for team task management. So so the point is, that was so relieving because that's what caused me the most stress. I go, I don't know how to teach her how to do this stuff. I don't know how to do half this stuff, right?
Right.
But to say, hey, go learn it. And then she knows how to do it better than I do it, right? And then she
Right.
puts it in the operations manual. So the next person that comes on, if she ever gets replaced, right, it's already written out for her.
That is absolutely smart. Well, you did answer that question.
Yeah.
To be organized is to find somebody that's better than you.
That's it.
Organization and to delegate that responsibility to other people.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. I think I'm going to take that tip myself.
All right.
So with that in mind, let's tap into what we just recently discussed, and that is you're about to come out with the Miracle Morning for Parents. So
Yes.
we want to hear about that because I think I and a lot of other people want to know how we can do the Miracle Morning with a parent slant to it.
Yeah, so I will say it'll probably be, it's later this year that book comes out. I'm not sure, when, mid to late year. But the Miracle Morning, itself, the book has been, it's exceeded everything I imagined it could be in terms of how it's changed people's lives. And it's in so many different ways. It's very universal. So it doesn't matter the age. We've had teenagers say that it transformed their life, and we've had elderly people say that it transformed their life. And we've had the types of transformations, everything from, it helped me to start a business, make more money, or it helped me overcome depression and get off my medication for anxiety. And so just these really universal truths or results, I should say. And so the idea was from people that are impacted by the Miracle Morning. They said we should do a series. There are so many people that you need to customize it. Like if you're a parent, for example, right? If you're a parent, well, then it's going to be different than if you're a teenager, right?
True,
or if you're an entrepreneur, it's going to be different than if you're a CEO, right? So we need to customize it. So long story short, so the Miracle Morning for, we've got a handful of titles out there now. The new ones that are coming out are the Miracle Morning for Writers will be out. That'll be the next one.
Wow.
Miracle Morning for Parents, and so on and so forth. It's kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul. There's going to be Miracle Morning for everybody. But the Parents edition, all of these titles have come out organically. Like, I have not sat down and go, okay, the best, I haven't done market research and been like, the Parents one has the biggest audience, it'll sell the most. I was simply speaking at a conference, and the gentleman that brought me in to speak, and he and his wife approached me, and they said, we want you to know that the Miracle Morning has changed not only our lives, but it's changed our family dynamic. And they said, we do the Miracle Morning, we homeschool our children. And they said, we do the Miracle Morning with him every day. So our son, I think their son is, they had one that was like 11, one that was 9. They said, we do the Savers, which are the 6 practices of the Miracle Morning every day. And they actually said, we want to show you something. And they handed me this handmade book. It said, I'm blanking on their son's name. Their son's name and then, book of affirmations. And they had done this with him, and it was, 26 pieces of paper stapled together, and there was an affirmation for each letter of the alphabet with a drawing that he did to accompany it. So it was like, I am, and then awesome, A for awesome, right? And then you do a picture of himself. And then I am B for brave. You do a picture of, like somebody slaying a dragon or something like that, right? So he had these whole, and I was like, that's brilliant. And I said, tell me how you do this, how have you adapted it for someone that's 11 years old?
Right.
And so they were kind of explaining how they did the different, and made it fun and incorporated play into each of the practices of the Miracle Morning. And I think the idea was kind of born right there. I was like, we need to do Miracle Morning for Parents. And then, now the seed was planted, but when it really I got compelled, I was at another event, and a gentleman approached me, he was probably maybe 55, and he said, Hal, the Miracle Morning gave me my family back, and I have to just thank you. And he was really emotional, and I'm like, please tell me more. I appreciate that, but I'd love to hear what you're talking about. And long story short, he had a falling out with his children when they were like 15 and 13, his 2 sons, and basically for 8 years they had like no relationship.
Wow.
And he and his wife, I believe they were divorced. I'm not good at details, as you can tell, but here's the point: they saw the Miracle Morning at their dad's house, and they decided to read it. And he said, again, they're 23 and 21 now. It's been 8 years since the incident that caused them to kind of a falling out. And after they read it, they came up and said, Dad, after reading this book, we realize that there's so much more to you than that one incident that caused us to, to lose trust. And we're so sorry, and we love you, and we want you back in our lives.
Wow.
And said they've both now read the book 3 times. They've highlighted it, underlined it, dog-eared it, And so this guy, the book had changed his life at age, 50-something.
Right.
And now it's changing his kid's life at 21 and 23.
Right.
And so I called the original family, and I said, hey, do you want to co-author a book for parents? And I want to cover everything from, there's going to be parts of the book on all different stages of parenthood. So if you have a newborn baby, how the hell do you do the Miracle Morning when you're up all night, right? And there are ways to do it. And we've had people in our community that talk about their strategy of how they do it. Or if you're, every type of parent, every different age. And the premise, I'll just say this, the premise of the Miracle Morning is not about waking up early. It's about waking up better.
Wow.
It's about waking up, not waking up at the last minute after you hit the snooze button 3 times and rushing out the door. Not waking up and turning on the TV and watching the news. Not waking up and surfing the internet. But waking up every day and dedicating time to personal development. Dedicating time to become the person that we need to be to create the most extraordinary life we can imagine.
Yes.
And so what I realized is that to be the best parent you can be and give your kids the best opportunity for success and happiness, it's about becoming the best you that you can be, because your children are a reflection of you. If you're an angry person, you're going to have angry kids. And that's messed up. Like, I'm sorry, but if you've got some issues with anger, we have a responsibility, in my opinion, to develop ourselves. Like, we've got to dedicate time every day to our personal development, if not for ourselves, for our children. So the tagline for the book we came up with the other day, the working tagline is, dang it. I forgot. Something about how to bring out the best in your kids and yourself. That's what it was.
Yes.
So yeah, the Miracle Morning for parents, how to bring out the best in yourself and your kids. Yeah.
So tell me, what was the conceptualization? How did the Miracle Morning be born? How was it born?
It was not an idea for a book in any means. What it was, back when the economy crashed, I had mentioned that, I lost, went from being where I had achieved a level of success that I was excited about, and then I lost over half my clients, and in 6 months, it was like a downward spiral where lost over half my clients, therefore couldn't pay my bills, went from being debt-free, I was a Dave Ramsey student, no credit card debt, to I had a $52,000 credit card balance within 6 months. Personal credit card debt. I just couldn't pay the bills. I lost my house to the bank. I couldn't pay my mortgage. I canceled my gym membership, and so 6 months of non-exercising, no exercise at all. I was in the worst shape of my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually, you name it.
Got it.
And to keep a long story short, I went on a run, and I heard a quote from Jim Rohn. And this quote, which I'll share here in a second, this is literally, I wish I could, I never got to meet Jim Rohn in person before he passed away. I wish I could thank him. Like, this quote, this philosophy is the catalyst for the Miracle Morning. And arguably, for me personally, this is the most important guiding principle in my life. It's one of them, at least. So Jim Rohn said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. Because success is something you attract by the person you become.
Wow, profound.
And really profound. When I was at the really bad place in my life. A friend had told me to go on a run and listen to this Jim Rohn audio, and I was like kind of resistant. And when he said that, I stopped running and I rewound it and I listened to it again. Right, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. And I went, I'm not dedicating time to my personal development, right? And the second part of the quote, he said, because success is something you attract by the person you become. And I thought, well, that's why I'm not attracting the success I want in my life. I'm not attracting, I'm not able to create it because I'm not becoming a better person, but I'm wanting better results. There's the disconnect for, I think, 90% of our society, if not more.
Yes.
This is what we want to have, but this is who we're becoming.
Yeah.
Once we decide to become this person through daily personal development, that level of success will meet us head on. And so I ran home with this epiphany. I'm like, I'm going to Google, what do the world's most successful people do for personal development? I'm going to do that. And I'm Googling, and I was looking, Elon, for like one practice. I'm like, what's the best, right? What's the best? And as I'm Googling, I'm going, okay, meditation. Okay, maybe that's the best. And then I'm going, was there anything better? And then I'm Googling, and I'm like, oh, affirmations. Okay, Will Smith swears by affirmations, but this other billionaire says meditation's the key. I'm like, I don't know. And then I end up with a list of 6 practices, and I'm going, I want 1, not 6.
Right.
And I almost threw in the towel. They call that what? Paralysis by analysis,
yes,
right?
Yes, that's true.
And then it hit me. I went, wait a minute. What if I did all of these? What if instead of picking 1, what if I committed to wake up tomorrow morning and do the 6 most proven, powerful personal development practices known to man? I thought that would be the ultimate morning ritual.
Yeah.
And I woke up the next morning. I did all of them. I sucked at all of them. I was like the worst meditator. I wasn't good. It was like I was new at all of them. But even being horrible at the 6 practices, that morning, an hour after I woke up, I went from being deeply depressed the day before to being on fire. I thought, if I start every day with this ritual, this much clarity and motivation and energy, it's only a matter of time before I turn my outer world around to kind of reflect the way I'm feeling right now. And the last thing I'll say is, I did not have any idea that it would have happened as fast as it did. I was thinking 6 to 12 months of daily personal development, the compound effect, right? Eventually things should start to turn around. It was less than 2 months, Elon, that I more than doubled my income. And I didn't get a promotion. I didn't quit jobs. I just figured out doing the exact same profession I was doing through the books I was reading, the clarity I was gaining. I made a few shifts and doubled my clients. I went from being in the worst shape of my life physically, having never run more than a mile. I decided to run a 52-mile ultra marathon.
Awesome.
I thought that'd be a good way to push myself, And then I went from being depressed to being confident and on fire. And so that, by the way, that's why the book is called The Miracle Morning. It was, I started calling my ritual because my life changed so fast. It felt like a miracle.
Yeah, it's miraculous.
So I started writing it in my schedule. Miracle Morning. But it was never going to be a book. And then I told a client, she went from I'm not a morning person to I'll give it a try to, oh my gosh, Hal, you're right. It's amazing. And then the light bulb went off and I thought, I've got to share this. And now it's one of the highest rated books on Amazon with over 1,300 5-star reviews. And like I said, it's more than I ever imagined.
Well, I'm going to share this with you, with what you're unaware of. I was actually at a conference, and one of the books that they gave away for free was your book.
Wow,
yes,
that's crazy.
I'm going to interview him in a couple of weeks. But what's even more profound than that was that, and that's why I call it the law of attraction. I don't know if you ever heard of Chris Records. He's really
I know
big.
Chris Records, sure,
Right, big in internet marketing. He said he just went online, and he just went and found out the best books. And yours was one of them. So like attracts like, and the message is spreading. And another guy that I interviewed, this is what's really ironic about it. He's top of internet marketing and he won your book.
No way.
So you see how it all circulates around. Okay, it does. I always tell people the spiritual stuff really does work. Because you're right, it is miraculous as far as being able to do that. Because I remember you interviewed me for your show, The Miracle Morning. You started to have a show in regards to the podcast show.
Yeah. And,
you asked me, what was it that got me up at 3 o'clock in the morning? And just like you, I read a book by, what is that gentleman? I'm losing my train of thought here. The gentleman from California, unfortunately, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
And I don't know if you had this in your book about writers, but that's what he said. In order for him to be able to write his book, he had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and write from 3 a.m. to about 6 a.m. before he had to go off to work or do something else.
Yeah.
So, I said, well, that's real simple. I could do that because I have kids.
Yeah, sure.
And that's why it worked for me. As far as being able to get up from 3 to 6 o'clock before my babies got up, I could get 3 hours of work done, which is miraculous.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, it's the most quietest, the most, I just always feel connected to the universe.
Yeah, it is.
At that
it's
time.
Special
Me
time.
and God, we get together. Who could put us under? It's on.
Yeah.
I'm at my best. So I want to thank you so much because, you made me realize that something that I was doing, it was working. Type of thing. So, and I highly recommend your book to everyone. So I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you get anything, please get the Miracle Morning, because it really, truly works. And I don't like to call it a book. I call them manuals, because a manual you got to consistently refer back to.
Sure. That's true.
Use it on a consistent basis. It's like, Think and Grow Rich. It's up there with the Bible. You got to always refer back to it in order for it to become a way of life for you, because repetition is the mother of all skill, as they say.
That's right.
Awesome. So Hal, before we let you go, what would be, based upon, what was the most inspirational part about the Miracle Morning that you could leave with these dadpreneurs? And I'm specifically talking about dadpreneurs, because mompreneurs have been in existence for a long time. They have to make a way of no way. But dadpreneurs have gotten like a negative connotations, like, dad staying at home. Is he really working? Type of thing. It's not a manly type of duty. What recommendation, what positive, affirming thing you could share with them to help facilitate what they're trying to do as far as, doing their own business?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing, I think that there's two philosophies that have really been helpful for me. And the first one is that you are just as worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving everything that you want as any other person on earth. And I think that is a belief that most of us don't have. We create a separation like, oh, well, if only I had what they had. They're so successful. They've been doing this longer. They have more experience. They have more connections. They have, right, whatever it is for us, And I think that that's one of the most important beliefs for us to really adopt, is that if another human being has accomplished something, that doesn't mean they're different. That means that they are a human being that is showing you what's possible for you.
Yes,
right?
Exactly right.
So that's the first thing. And that affirmation, by the way, is still in my affirmations every day. You are just as worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving everything you want. And a lot of times, I'll actually replace everything you want with a very specific goal or result that I'm working towards.
Okay.
So when I was putting on my first live event a couple of years ago, it said, how, because I had a lot of fear, like, I don't know how to put on a live event. I've never done that. What if nobody shows up, And it said, you are just as worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving. Hey, this is Tiffany, everybody. It's a video interview.
Hey, Tiffany, how are you? It's okay. It's all good.
It's all good. So I was already talking about you earlier. So but yeah, so I would put in there, I am just as worthy, deserving, and capable of achieving, or of putting on, of bringing 300 people to a live event as any other person on earth. And then I back that affirmation with, and I will prove it today with my actions, right?
Yes.
And then the second philosophy to share, and this really is helpful always, but especially when I was starting out as an entrepreneur, and it took me, I was starting out for 10 years, right? They say, it takes you 10 years for an overnight success.
Exactly.
It took me that long to get to the point that I really wanted to be at for so long. So here it is. When you finally get to the point that you've been working for so long, you almost never wish it would have happened any sooner. When you finally arrive there, you go, oh, you're relieved. But you almost look back at your journey and you see the perfection in every challenge, obstacle, adversity, you know what I mean? Every wrong decision, like it was all part, if it wouldn't have all happened, you wouldn't be at that point. So if you think about that, if when you finally get to the point that you're working so hard for right now, you never wish it would have happened any sooner, well then be at peace with where you are now. Yes. Be at peace with where you are now. Well, of course, wake up every day and look at your vision, read your affirmations, do your Miracle Morning, and stay, keep that healthy sense of urgency toward where you want to go, but really be at peace and be fulfilled and be grateful every day, because that's what life is about, enjoying every day, every moment. And if you don't learn how to enjoy every moment now and appreciate what you have and love the life you have, then when you finally get the life you thought you wanted, there's a hole, because you never learned how to love life. Right? And you see this with so many celebrities where they turn to drugs or alcohol because they worked so hard to get to this level of success because they thought that would fulfill them. And it didn't fulfill them. Right? So be at peace with where you are. Love your family. Love your life. Love yourself. And while you are maintaining that healthy sense of urgency to wake up every day and stay committed to your vision, because you can and you will achieve everything you want, but it will probably take you longer than you wish that it would have.
Very, very good. Very good. So with that said, give us information on how they can contact you, up and coming events, purchase your books, etc.
Yeah, best place to get the books, Amazon.com. And I was going to show you, because you mentioned network marketing. We've had so many network marketers.
Yes.
get the book that we have a buddy of mine who's a top network marketer said, let's do Miracle Morning for network marketers. And this is actually one of our top selling books now, which
awesome.
not
Definitely
surprising based on the word of mouth industry that is network marketing. It was a good fit. So,
yes.
So Amazon's the best place to get the books. If you're an iBooks user, you want to get it on your Apple device, it is on iBooks, The Miracle Morning. The other books aren't on iBooks yet, but they're all on Kindle. And then if you want to get a hold of me, go to my website, halelrod.com. But I want to mention one invitation before anything else. Probably where you'll get the most value, other than reading the books, is the Miracle Morning community. And Elon, I created a Facebook group when the book came out, based on a friend's recommendation. No idea of how big it would get and how engaged it would be. We have over 36,000 people in that Facebook group from like 40-something countries. Awesome. And I've never seen such a non-judgmental, inviting, loving online community as Miracle Morning group. So the Miracle Morning community, it's a Facebook group. Come join it, and it's great. You don't need to wait till you've read the book. It's good to join it in the beginning, and then you just scan the post, and you're like, is this for real? Are people really having this much change in their lives?
Yes,
and then that'll inspire you to read the book because, again, anything another person can do, it shows that you can do it too. So
exactly. Okay, we're definitely going to do that. And ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to also do, don't worry, it's going to be on our vlog post. We're going to have that available to you as far as all the links to get access to Hal Elrod. And in addition to that, we're going to keep in touch with Hal in regards to the future successes that he's going to have with all these wonderful additions to the Miracle Morning. Hey, Hal, thank you so much for being on our show today. You've inspired so many dadpreneurs and even mompreneurs like myself, and we really do appreciate you.
Awesome, Elon. Thank you. It's a mutual. Appreciate you.
I always tell you, ladies and gentlemen, spread the love by spreading the word, and you'll spread the wealth. Thanks so much, Hal. We'll see you at the top. More importantly, we will see you at the bank. Bye-bye now.